The MCU's newest film called Thunderbolts just released in theaters, and so I'm going to give you my spoiler talk. So this is everything that we're going to be talking about, the whole movie as a whole, and we're going to be talking about spoilers. So make sure if you have not seen the film, come back later where we're going to be talking about spoilers and everything that happened in this movie. And so let's get into it. Alright, so Thunderbolts is the second to last MCU movie before we get to Avengers Doomsday, and this essentially follows Yelena Belova as she's going through a mission and she's feeling alone in the world. So the movie starts off with Yelena, again, going on a mission for this Sentry project. She's trying to figure out what's kind of going on, and Val sent her up onto this mission, and then we cut to Val after Yelena blows up the building. And Val basically is at a city council meeting where she's getting impeached by the government. Now, there is a new character that is introduced, which is her assistant. Her new assistant's name is Mel, and Mel is another comic book character, and she actually has superpowers in the comic books, and she plays Songbird, and so she has a lot going on in the comic books. So I'm hoping that they might be able to bring her into having superpowers in this live-action version as well. Maybe, potentially. But it is pretty cool because when you watch the movie, she does have a little necklace that has a bird on it. And that's pretty much like, hey, this is the Songbird character. I thought that was a pretty neat and nice detail. But then Bucky's there at the impeachment as well, trying to get more information and trying to get Mel on his side. Then we flash back to Yelena, where Yelena is going back to Red Guardians, and Red Guardian and her basically bond over just being alone for this past year and how they have nothing fulfilling happening in their lives. And so basically Red Guardian says you have to get in front of the people because that is the most rewarding part of it all, is just being noticed. And so Yelena asks Val for a role where she can be noticed. So Val says, yeah, you have one more mission for me to complete, and then I'll start getting you in public spaces more and more. And so Yelena says, all right, I'll do it. And her one mission was to go hunt someone down breaking into a secret vault. Now, this person ends up being the character known as Ghost. However, when they all get down to the vault where they end up trying to kill each other, they find out that Val actually set them up and has a hit on every single character down there. So we end up getting to see Taskmaster, who is the actual MVP for this movie. The whole 5 seconds, literally mind-blowing. And then there is actually U.S. Agent, who is a nice addition, I think, to this movie overall, because he plays the lovable douchebag. He's just the worst character, but you also feel bad for him with what we see in the film as well. And then you also get to meet our new character named Bob, who will be playing the Sentry character, which I think was a lot of fun, especially introducing this MCU, basically Superman for this universe. And I think the Sentry character is always super cool. However, he's very OP in the comic book, so I was interested to see how his levels, or how his power levels would like interact with people in this movie. And I think they did a solid job with him. And then Yelena, so they're all down there fighting. Ghost is there as well, and they realize that they were all set up, and Val wants to eliminate all of them because they all know too much about the Sentry project. And so they end up escaping together, working together as a team, escaping the desert that they were in after they realize Bob has powers, and Red Guardian comes to pick him up. Then the Winter Soldier ends up ruining that extraction plan, essentially, and he ends up saying, well, you guys know a lot, so we're gonna take you to court. And then they say, no, you don't understand, this Bob character is pretty scary. And everyone says, Bob? Bob?
Bob?
Bob, what's scary about Bob? And so ends up where, oh, I forgot to say that Bob does end up getting kidnapped by Val, essentially. And she starts nurturing him into actually becoming the Sentry, and teaching him that he actually has powerfuls, and that he doesn't have to listen to anyone, and that he is loved by her. But realistically, it's all mind games. And then we get to see the Thunderbolts go to the new Avengers Tower called the Watchtower. and try to beat up the Sentry character after he switches on them, which we'll talk about in the negatives as we get there. And then the Void persona, after the male character kills the Sentry character, the Void character comes out and starts taking the whole city and turning them into a shadow, which is very scary. And then the shadow of it all, Yelena walks into it and actually meets Bob and shows that he's not alone. And then at the very, very end, we get the huge surprise that the Thunderbolts is actually the new Avengers, which is one of my main theories as we were getting into this film, and I'm glad that it actually ended up being correct. But then we have a lot to talk about with the actual film. So some of the good things, I'll start off with the film itself, is Yelena Belova. I think she does a great job. Florence Pugh is just an outstanding actress, and so she carries this whole movie. We basically see this whole film through her eyes, and she does not skip a beat like throughout the whole film, and especially just like conveying that she is alone and like needs people to back her up. I think she did great. U.S. Agent was probably my favorite character out of this film because everything with him, he's not the one making the jokes most of the time, but he is essentially he is the joke, where we get to see his bent up shield turning into a taco. I think that was hilarious. And so he, like, the whole time at the end of the film, he's like, I'll just have Sentry bend it back after he remembers what happened here. I think that was hilarious. And then we get to see Ghost. I think she did a solid job just contributing to the team. However, I have some more mixed to negatives with that character. Not the performance itself, just the way they used them. Red Guardian, I had a lot of fun with. He was the one making jokes the whole time, and man, you love him. And David Harbour, man, he does a great job all the time. And then we get Bucky Barnes. Bucky, classic. You already know what you're gonna get from him when you see him on screen. I think he does a great job. Now, the real standout for me in this film was actually Lewis Pullman, who played Bob, aka Sentry, aka the Void, which is also the villain. He just had to have a long range of acting to actually get all this done, so I could see him going places. It was cool to see him from Top Gun to here, and I just think that he did a great job just conveying that he is alone, but also just being the sweet and innocent guy, and then also just trying to get like more into the jokes as well. Like, he was trying to be comedic, sweet, kind, like nervous. He does the whole range, and I really appreciated it. And without him in this role, I don't know if the film would have worked as well, because he could pull it all off. And man, I'm really excited to see hopefully that the MCU, how they use him in the future, because remember, we still have Emilia Clarke's character named Gaia, which she basically has all the powers of every character in the Marvel universe. And so I'm wondering if we're ever going to see her again. And I know we're going to see Sentry again, but I just think it'll be interesting that we have two highly leveled, powered up people on the Earth now. And so maybe they'll meet, potentially. But overall for the film, I think the action was done very, very well with all of like the actual stunt work that took place. Like Florence Pugh, for example, legit jumped off that building, and so I think that was really fun. Now, the action isn't anything like crazy or memorable, but there are some scenes in this that make it feel like the old MCU. And the whole time I was watching this film, I was thinking to myself, this is why I love the MCU, because they can bring all these characters that we just never really cared for and put them back together. And it finally felt like a classic MCU film. And I know it's, in some ways, it's not as unique, but it felt like a back to form for the MCU, because we've been getting projects such as Thor: Love and Thunder, which, no, I did not like at all. We've also gotten some other ones that just did not work well for me. But then we get ones like Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, and then we also got like the Guardians of the Galaxy movies that I thought worked very, very well. But those are classic MCU directors directing those projects, and so they kind of know what's expected of them. And I feel like the studio itself like is just like, here's your characters, you have fun with it, we'll leave you alone. But when it gets down to like the newer directors, they're like, hey, let's put some guardrails on what's happening here. And so Jack Shire, the director here, it felt like he actually had control for the most part of this film, which was kind of concerning when David Harbour actually had an interview with the press about this movie, saying that they were actually rewriting the scripts as they were shooting and that Marvel had a better plan.
Where are we at? Like, are you in, again, is that in your head right now? Do you have a script to work off of, or like how excited, or what are you thinking about Thunderbolts at this point right now?
I mean, we were, I think, gonna go, and then I think they did want the opportunity to change some stuff. The interesting thing about Marvel that's so great about them is they do rework stuff, even big productions. Like Black Widow, the entire third act was reworked as we were shooting, and which is incredible. And so they just want that freedom. The script we have is really tight and really great.
And I thought that we would get this movie, like in the initial stages, was very worrying. But then we started getting the trailers, and I'm like, sounds like a movie I would really enjoy. And so I was super excited to walk out of this film and say that I did really enjoy this movie. For the mixed aspect of the film, I think that it does a good job bringing the characters together. However, I would have liked to see more time with these characters bonding, because realistically for me, this whole movie takes place in like one day. And so for me, like if I met someone tomorrow and they're like, hey, let's save the world and we're gonna become a team, I'm like, I don't think we'll have such a great chemistry balance. But these characters just do, and I know that's just because like they're all the lovable losers. They're all the outside characters, and so no one really takes them seriously, and so they find family in that. I understand that, but I don't buy the fact that they're all like loving on each other a day after wanting to kill each other. Not all the way. I apologize for that. I feel like if you gave us the like 30 extra minutes to actually see characters like US Agent and Red Guardian and Bucky actually talk, because they're all super soldiers in some way, and I think that'd be a fun dynamic. Then you also have Yelena Belova, who's related to Red Guardian. I think that's a fun dynamic. And then Ghost is just kind of there. Honestly, I have more like mixed to bad aspects with the Ghost character and how they use her. Again, I think that they did need more scenes connecting her with these characters, because Ghost is basically not connected to really anyone in this film other than Val, and then they end up like caring for her, and which is fun, but like there wasn't really any scenes that were like that made her really seem part of the team other than her helping them out. There was not one scene in this film where I was like, oh man, that's why she's a part of this team. They kind of like expressed it in like the Ant-Man and the Wasp, if you've seen that film, and like they kind of like show that she's still not doing all right after that movie. But like I would have liked more scenes with these characters actually communicating and building up one another, instead of actually just being rushed in a 24-hour timeline. Another thing for the mixed of this film is actually the like transformation of Sentry from Lewis Pullman. I think that honestly, he transitioned just a little too fast. There's this one point in the movie where I feel like they took out maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes of the film, where in the middle of it, where they could have had more time with the Sentry character and how like Val is corrupting him in his mind, and they don't really have that. He's curled up in a bed and then it's like, oh, you care about me? All right. Well then I can use my powers and I'm going to be the hero. I'm a god. And Val's like, no, that's not you. But he goes, well, you said I'm stronger than all the 6 Avengers. And that has a god on the team, which means I'm stronger than a god. And I think that that scene was cool. They should have just had way more with him like getting to that point. I think they could have had an extra like 15 minutes added on into there as well. So realistically, if this movie was 2 hours and 45 minutes where it's just kind of building out these characters more and the dynamics of the team, I wouldn't have said no. Realistically though, you'd want it to be 2 hours and 30 minutes, not 2 hours 45 minutes. I think 45 is getting too out there. But 2:30, like an extra 30 minutes on, like connecting all of that, I think would have worked very, very well. But realistically, I have really no bad notes for this film. And so with that, we're going to be talking about the post-credit scene now, because I know a lot of you want to be talking about the post-credit scene. So if you've seen the movie, which I hopefully you have, because this is the spoiler talk, join me in the comments section down below, because I want to hear your thoughts on the film instead of you just hearing mine. I want to know what you thought of the movie, because I had a lot of fun with it, and I think that they did a very, very solid job setting up for what's for the future, and that we are getting the new Avengers. And I think that they have a lot going for this film, but I want to know your thoughts, and I want to know maybe your theories on where this is all going to go in Avengers Doomsday. And so with that, we'll transition into the post-credit scene. All right, so real quick, I know I said we're going to transition to the post-credit scene real quick. The mid-credit scene, nothing crazy happened. I mean, it was just a Red Guardian gag. And so if you guys want to talk about that, we'll talk about it more in the comments down below. But moving on to the actual post-credit scene now, it takes place 14 months after the Thunderbolts movie, where you can obviously see that the new Avengers team is coming together. And this new Avengers team, again, has the same 5 characters we've followed out through the whole movie. They all have new suits, new looks, and it looks like they're in the new Avengers Tower, or the old Watchtower, or the old Avengers Tower. They're in the Avengers Tower though, and they're talking about something going on in space. Now, I would say that that's kind of like the thing that happened in Captain Marvel, or the second one, the Marvels, where there is a crack in the sky, and I think they're talking about what's going on with that, where Monica went through the rift and landed in the X-Men world. I think that's a really fun detail, but they go on to say that Anthony Mackie's character, the actual Captain America, and Bucky are kind of having a falling out, which is super interesting because the last couple projects of the MCU have been talking about how Sam and Bucky are like good friends now, and so now they're having a small falling out. And my thought and theory on this is that it's not because of the Bucky Barnes character actually making this new Avengers team and actually running with it. It's that he didn't even like talk about it with Anthony Mackie's character, and so when it was announced to the whole public, he felt left out. That's just my thought and theory on that. It's nothing too crazy, but it's like you created another Avengers team, but you didn't invite Captain America, and so you get to see that. And then again, on the other side of that, we talk about Captain America. Captain America is making his own Avengers team, and right now, from off the top of my head, which characters I think would be on that team is Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, maybe we get the Falcon character in there, which we've already kind of confirmed that he is in this. I know Shang-Chi's got to be in there. Captain Marvel, possibly. I know she's more out in the outer space world again. And then we also might potentially get Chris Pratt. You never know. That's just hopeful, wishful thinking, where Star-Lord could come back and actually join the Avengers this time, because he's on Earth. But there's some of these characters that are on Earth, so I want to hear down in the comments below, who do you think are going to be on this new Avengers team for Anthony Mackie's team? I think that'll be something super fun to talk about in the comments below, but I gave you my thoughts, so I'd love to hear yours. And then we talk about the alarm that they're getting on their tablet, and it shows a shuttle coming in from outer space, and of course it is the Fantastic Four, which I'm slightly salty about, because we've all online like speculated that the Fantastic Four are coming to our universe. We all knew that was going to happen, but they kind of confirmed it. And so realistically, my theory for that is Galactus did destroy their world, and so they had to escape somewhere. And I think that that's going to be something interesting to discuss when Avengers Doomsday comes around, or even when Fantastic Four comes around. But I just kind of wish they didn't spoil it that much, or instead they showed us the Anthony Mackie team of Avengers, so we kind of know where that's going, because we already kind of knew that Fantastic Four were coming to our planet, but we didn't know that we don't know the new Avengers for Anthony Mackie's team. So that was basically the end credit scene. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I felt like this one was again back to form for the Marvel movies. I really did enjoy this one. I'm hoping that Avengers Doomsday will be able to catch all of this up. Or even some of the shows as well. I did joke in between the movie and said Daredevil Born Again happened in New York, so hopefully Mayor Fisk was one of those that got dusted, and then maybe the Defenders don't. You know, maybe the Defenders do come back and they just, you know, help clean up the town before as Fisk disappeared. It won't happen. But anyways, those were just my spoiler thoughts on the film. I really did enjoy it. I thought the post-credit scene was done very well. And I thought that was also interesting that they actually did that a couple months ago on the set of Avengers Doomsday. And that the actual director for the movie, he said that he didn't direct it. So I'm assuming it was the Russo brothers. And it kind of felt like something they would do as well. But those were just my thoughts on the film as a whole. Realistically, if I were to give you guys a score on my side of things, I would say that I would give it an 8.5, maybe a 9 is pushing it, but 8.5 is where I kind of feel safe about this film. But if you guys like this video, be sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. I had a lot of fun making this video, as well as I'm going to be doing some more new stuff here in the near future. And so I want you guys to stay up to date with that with me, and we're going to have a lot of fun talking about movies. So without further ado, you guys have a good day and stay safe out there.